I hope you enjoyed that clip. That was from a new film that just opened in town all over the Dade County area. It's called Phantasm. And with us tonight for the second week in a row, we have the director of the film, Don Cascarelli, and the star of the film, Angus Scrimm. Don, to sort of continue our discussion of last week, who and how did you come up with the name Phantasm? Does it have any particular significance?
Well, yes, it certainly does. It's a word in the dictionary, and it's not used too often. In fact, the only time I've ever seen it used was in some Edgar Allan Poe works. He used it quite often. A phantasm is a dream, a nightmare, a sense of unreality, something in a place where it shouldn't be. The way Poe used it was always like, I'm having phantasms, as if he was having nightmares. And I think it kind of sums up the film real good.
There's a film called Night of the Living Dead, which is probably one of the greatest horror films of all time by George Romero, who is one of my favorite people. Did you at any time think of that film when you were making this film, or any relationship to it? It deals with people who come back from the dead, that whole type thing.
Well, not consciously, but I'll tell you, that was quite a film, and I think what they had going for them, they made that film on a very low budget, and I think it's one of the greatest cases in history of a picture where the budget worked for them, because they used the grainy black and white, they used the non-professional actors, but it actually made it much more terrifying, and that was really great in that picture.
Good film. Oh, I think one of the great films that scared me out of my mind the first time I saw it. What are your feelings about the horror genre? You know, there's a certain element of people that right away when you say a horror film, they think of a B movie or a less than great movie. What are your feelings about the horror genre? Is it one of the most important?
Well, I feel it's a very important genre. I feel that a lot of critics don't necessarily, they tend to think, because in the 50s, when a lot of us were growing, well, not me especially, but most of the critics were growing up in the 50s, there were a lot of B pictures, and they were a lot of more horror films, and so it got kind of a stigma. But I think that ever since Frankenstein, I think the horror genre has been one of the most durable and most important. I mean, just as much as a Western, I think it should be treated as such. And I think the reason why is in why people lust to go see horror films. Because you wonder, why would anybody want to go see a scary film and be scared? But in everyday life, with the everyday horrors, I mean, gas is going to be $1 a gallon. You can get on a DC-10 and get fried. And here you can go into a theater, you can enjoy the delicious chill of being scared, but know that it's not real, and you can come out and everything seems much better, actually.
Angus, something I was thinking of, when you, as far as costumes are concerned, and I assume you have to get in character with things beyond your normal self or your own subconscious, do you have any choice did you make the decisions as far as what costumes you would want to wear and how your makeup would be in a film?
We had a makeup session in which, with Dawn and with our very remarkable makeup lady, Tyre, yes, we tried out several makeups and photographed them with a camera, one of those that instantaneously gives you the result, and arrived at this in about an hour, as I recall. Our wardrobe lady was
Shirley May.
Shirley May, of course. And this was entirely her conception. She simply took a black suit and had the legs and the arms slimmed down, as you can see, and a very narrow lapel, a very narrow tie, and this rather strange tie pin. And that was the whole concept.
As far as, you put the costume on it. Now, there's a thing called sets. Don, did you go out yourself and get the sets? Did you go out and, I know you probably sent someone out to look, and then when they found something for you, did you go out and look over the sets yourself?
Oh, sure. We have a huge mausoleum in the film. The interior, it's a long corridor, which was just seen in the clip that we showed. And that was all done on a stage. We built that set. And that was built on the basis of my going out and looking at other mausoleums. And it's really, when you develop, you get a very macabre sense of humor working on a horror film. But I got the chance to see some of the most fantastic mausoleums in California. I went around, and some of them are so beautiful with the marble hallways that I just had to create that in Phantasm, because what we wanted to get was almost a Gothic, ancient feel, but at the same time slightly futuristic, and that's what we were trying for.
Special effects are used quite a bit in this film, and again, we just saw the clip with that incredible ball with these two spear-like images on top of it. Did you, when you were writing the film, think about how important special effects would be for the film?
Well, in our film, in Phantasm, it's a very important part of it, with that sphere, which has been, the critics have called the first computerized vampire. We spent a lot of time and a lot of money to get them right, because I think that's what people, when they go to see a horror film, if it works, if it really looks like it's happening on screen, that's what makes it effective. And that scene, exactly what happens is that in this scene, they defeat the ball. They blew it up with the gun. But in an earlier scene, the boy had gone up to the mausoleum late at night, and he snuck in through a basement window, and he's exploring because he's trying to find out what's going on, what are the evil things. And he just misses getting killed by the ball because it whizzes over his head and smacks into the forehead of one of Angus's minions who was helping him there. and it sticks into the man's forehead. A drill comes out and bores into his skull, into his forehead, and then sucks out his brain. It's a little...
Oh, okay. It's a real love story, as you can definitely see. Angus, one thing I understand you do, which I find kind of fascinating, now the film has been released, you go out and sit in audiences periodically and look for reactions of the audience. Is the reaction to the overall film, or do you look for your own performance particularly?
George, actually, I am addicted to Phantasm. I've been in other films, of course, and I've seen them once or twice, and that's usually enough. But in this case, I think perhaps the fact that I'm playing a role that I never dreamed I would play, playing a horror role, a Karloff-type role. The first time I saw that film with an audience of 600 students from Cal State University at Long Beach, and they screamed 15, 20 times throughout the film, I found that as absolutely wonderful as hearing people laugh. And so I have been going, this is an audience participation film. They laugh, they scream, they cheer, they applaud, they even talk back to the actors. And to me, the joy of seeing the film is going to see the audience reaction. I'm a spectator for the audience. I'm there to enjoy the audience.
That's a fascinating thing. Did you folks, when you made this film, we talked about it last week a little bit, the relationship between horror and laughter and comedy. Did you play it for laughs at any time in this film?
No, never once. I don't think the tall man gets a laugh. Screams are his department.
Okay, but never camp or anything like that, being a little bit
not at all.
beyond...
No, we wanted to make him deadly serious.
All right, now we mentioned last week something that kind of fascinated me. You said you wanted him to be a one-dimensional character. Is that exactly what you wanted of him? Just to be evil? There is no shades of gray in this man.
Well, that's true. That's a multi-dimensional thing, evil, though.
Yes, and of course there's one slight coloration. I think that the tall man becomes rather admiring of this spunky kid Mike, who keeps coming back for more. No matter how much the tall man does to discourage him, he just keeps coming right back. So I think we do see in the tall man a kind of, well, maybe not an affection, but certainly a respect for this spunky kid.
There were some interesting things that happened on the set while you were making this film. Could you relate some of those stories to us now that are really true stories and not Dila De Laurentiis specials?
The studio always kind of tries to play on those things, but it was kind of strange in that one time our set did burn down, and it was very, it was a very critical time. We had to go back and reshoot it, rebuild it, that is. Another time, we would lose actors. We had quite a couple of them actually died during the production. They were not important ones, luckily. The man who designed that silver sphere died just before the film came out, and he never got to see it. So these things happen. It's kind of morbid that the studio would try to use it as a reason of why, but I guess it's something kind of fun.
When we look at clips like this, and this is always fascinating. A lot of my friends who are in the film business make a living making, these are called trailers. Essentially, they're little clips of a film. Do you have any control over that? What clip is shown in the film? Do you go and edit the clip at all yourself?
Yeah, I've been fortunate in that I'm able to go out and supervise the editing of the clips. But as what happened with Phantasm, we made up about 3 or 4 clips, which were, 1 or 2 of them were very good, and the others weren't so good. And it seems whenever I come to a TV station, they say, "Oh, we got a great one up here," and it's the one I don't really like. But.
You don't mean the one we just showed, do you? Because I
Yes, I do.
You do. I happen to love it. That was my choice. We'll talk about it after the show. Anyway. Now, as far as getting back to your next film, which I'm sure you're already starting to think about, and once you got this one, you've given birth to this, now you're going to try something else. Do you think you'll stick in the same genre now that you've mastered the horror genre, or are you going to go on to something else?
I think I definitely won't. I love horror films, and I plan to come back and do one of these days, because I can't imagine letting all that I've learned go to waste, because I knew so little about making horror films when I started. But I want to do something different. The problem is that when you make a successful horror film, that's all anyone wants you to do.
Sure, yeah.
All the producers in the studios come to me, and I've been offered 5 different horror pictures. And the only one I wasn't offered was a horror picture. I said, look, I don't want to do any more horror films. And the guy goes, no, it's not a horror film. It's a ghost story.
A love story between ghosts.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, a statement I think you've made, and yell if you haven't made this statement, is horror must be rooted in reality. Now, could you sort of expand on that?
Well, exactly what I meant by that is that the people who are involved in a horror film, the people you're rooting for, they have to be believable characters. I think you can go back to Alfred Hitchcock. He would time and time and again cast Jimmy Stewart. And the reason why is because Stewart had that face that you liked him, you cared for him, and he was reality for you, so that whatever happened to him, you were always afraid. And that's why in my casting I attempted to get people who you would fear for.
That's an interesting subject we talked a little bit about before, but what are sort of the steps that you go through in casting? Do you have more than one call, or do you sort of look at a tape of somebody and know that, hey, I like to work? For instance, with Angus, you worked before together. There's a certain niceness, I think, about being able to work with the same actors several times. You know, like Altman does the same thing.
Oh,
like
yeah.
You're sort of a company, and you're used to each other, you feel good about each other. But let's take another exception. You don't know this actor. You need say, a woman of 63 years old, so you're looking for that. How do you go about doing that?
Well, I think the only way is to look at thousands and thousands of people. That's what I've always done with casting the young man who plays the older brother in the film. We looked at for 6 months trying to find a young leading man in Hollywood. You'd think that it'd be very easy, but it's not, because there are so many actors out there and so many people of so many differing ranges, and you got to lock down on just one person. So you just look and look. And the way I always start is I don't even get into acting. I look for the kind of face that I want. And then if the acting works, then that's great. But
that's interesting. In film, I think you need a type a lot more because of the magic thing we talked about before, Angus, the close-up. Unfortunately, there is a certain amount of typecasting, more so, I think, in film than in plays, because of that big image up there, and you need a type.
Oh, that's true.
You have to go into characterization and other things,
Yeah.
but there is that type.
Yeah.
How much do you work with the actors? I mean, one of the problems of being a director, I think, is, and again, Angus alluded to it last week, there's all the technical problems you have, and yet you still got to deal with the creative element of acting. I mean, how do you handle that problem?
Well, it's very hard, and in fact, that's why I rely on a strong cast. I've always tried to get a core of really good actors, so if I have deficiencies in the script or in the direction, that the cast can make up for that. A lot of it has to do with preparation beforehand, and I really try to advocate that the actors be as prepared as possible. I know that with this role, Angus would go home, belt down a couple scotches, and stay up past midnight with a tape recorder and come up with bizarre voices and bizarre characterizations. He'd bring me the tapes and let me hear them, and then we were able to sample and pull out some
Did you
good
ever
things.
improvise on the set, Angus, or did you follow the script quite literally?
I don't recall improvising too much. Just getting what Don wanted and then going in and doing it. I think I psyched out the character pretty thoroughly before we started shooting, so that I didn't have to do any method going off into a corner and gearing myself up. It was there to call on when we needed it.
All right. It's been really great having the two of you, and I hope your film is very successful. It's already been quite successful, by the way, in other parts of the country, so I don't think you have a whole lot to worry about. And thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Okay. We'll see you next week, folks. Good night.